Have you ever had a goal, something you deeply wanted, something you promised yourself you would do, and then watched yourself ruin it? Maybe you wanted to get in shape, and you signed up for the gym. The first week, you were motivated, full of energy. But then you skipped one workout. Then another. And before long, you weren't going at all. Or maybe you had a relationship that felt healthy, supportive, promising. And yet, you picked fights, withdrew, or convinced yourself you didn't deserve it, until it fell apart. Or perhaps you've had opportunities at work. A chance to shine in a presentation. A promotion. A project you could lead. But instead of stepping into it, you procrastinated, doubted yourself, held back. And the opportunity slipped away. These are not rare experiences. They are deeply human. And they have a name: self-sabotage. What self-sabotage really is? Self-sabotage is when we set a goal, a dream, a commitment, and then act in ways that directly undermine it. It's like driving with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. You want to move forward, but something inside you is holding you back. And here's something important: self-sabotage is not laziness. It's not stupidity. It's not weakness. It is protection gone wrong. Deep down, your brain and body think they are keeping you safe. Safe from failure. Safe from rejection. Safe from disappointment. Safe from the unknown. The problem is that this protection keeps you stuck. It keeps you small. It keeps you repeating the same cycles. What is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is when your actions, or inactions, consistently block your own progress. It's when the things you do to protect yourself actually harm you in the long run. Think of it like a smoke alarm that goes off every time you make toast. It's trying to keep you safe from fire. But in reality, it's just interrupting your breakfast. Everyday examples. Let's make this real with some common patterns. Procrastination. You delay starting until the last minute, or never start at all. Perfectionism. You set standards so high that you're paralyzed, unable to finish. Avoidance. You dodge difficult conversations, leaving problems unresolved. Self-criticism. You talk yourself out of opportunities by insisting you're not ready. Toxic comfort. You return to relationships, jobs, or habits that you know aren't good for you, just because they're familiar. If any of these sound familiar, you are not alone. Psychological roots. Why do we do this? The roots of self-sabotage lie deep in psychology and survival. Fear of failure. If you don't try fully, you can't fail fully. Sabotage is a way of saying, if I don't give it my all, then I can blame the effort, not myself. Fear of success. Strange as it sounds, success is scary. It brings pressure, expectations, visibility. If you succeed, people notice. And then you might feel you have to keep proving yourself. Comfort in the familiar. The brain prefers the known. Even if the known is painful, it feels safer than the unknown. That's why people stay in jobs they hate, or in relationships they've outgrown. Identity conflicts. Sometimes success contradicts who we think we are. If you've always believed you're the underdog, the struggler, the helper, then stepping into power or visibility feels wrong, even threatening. Why we sabotage ourselves. We've defined what self-sabotage is. But now let's ask the bigger question: why? Why would anyone deliberately get in their own way? On the surface, it makes no sense. If you want to succeed, why procrastinate? If you want love, why push people away? If you want health, why destroy your own progress? The answer: self-sabotage is protection in disguise. Your brain believes it is shielding you from pain, rejection, or loss. But instead of protecting, It traps you in cycles. Let's break down the main reasons. 1. Fear of failure. Failure hurts. It's uncomfortable, embarrassing, and sometimes humiliating. So, instead of risking failure, many of us sabotage to create an escape hatch. Think of it like this: if you procrastinate and don't do your best, and then fail, you can tell yourself, well, I didn't really try. That feels safer than giving your full effort, failing anyway, and having to face the idea that you're not enough. Self-sabotage here acts like a cushion. It softens the blow, but it also robs you of growth. 2. Fear of success. This one surprises people. But yes, success is scary. Why? Because success changes things. Success brings more visibility, more responsibility, more expectations, and sometimes envy or criticism from others. If you succeed, people notice you. If they notice you, they may expect more from you. And the pressure can feel overwhelming. So, subconsciously, some part of you says, better stay small. Better not shine. Better not risk the burden of success. 3. Imposter syndrome. Ever felt like a fraud, even when you've achieved something? That's imposter syndrome. It whispers, you don't really deserve this. You just got lucky. Any day now, they'll find out you're not good enough. When you believe that, sabotage becomes a way of proving yourself right. You mess up, and it feels consistent with your inner story. 4. Identity conflict. Humans act in alignment with who they believe they are. If you see yourself as the underdog, the struggler, the helper, then success or happiness can feel wrong, like it doesn't fit your identity. So you unconsciously sabotage to stay consistent with your self-image. Example: someone who has always been the poor one in their family may sabotage financial success because wealth feels like betrayal. 5. The brain's safety bias. The brain is wired to prefer the familiar, even when the familiar is painful. Psychologists call this homeostasis, the tendency to return to what feels normal. That's why people stay in toxic relationships, destructive habits, or unfulfilling jobs. Not because they like them, but because they are familiar. Change equals uncertainty. And uncertainty feels unsafe. So the brain pulls you back, again and again, to the old patterns. Real stories of self-sabotage. Now let's bring these reasons to life with some stories. Story 1. The student who always waited until the last minute. Emily was a bright college student. She loved literature, loved learning. But every semester, she waited until the last night before deadlines to start her essays. She'd stay up until 3 a.m., rush through, and hand in work she knew wasn't her best. Her professors said, "Emily, you're talented, but you need to apply yourself." Deep down, Emily knew why she did it. If she worked hard and still got a poor grade, it would mean she wasn't smart enough. That was unbearable. So she sabotaged. By leaving things to the last minute, she could always say, "I would have done better, if only I had more time." Her procrastination was a shield from the fear of failure. Story 2. The athlete who choked. Mark was a talented basketball player. In practice, he excelled. Fast, skilled, accurate. But in games, especially big ones, he froze. Shots he made easily in practice suddenly missed. Why? Because the moment mattered. Success would put him in the spotlight, raise expectations, maybe even bring scholarship offers. Deep down, that terrified him. He wasn't sure he could handle the pressure. So his body betrayed him, tightening up when it mattered most. This was sabotage driven by fear of success. Story 3. The creative who never finished. Sophia loved writing stories. She started dozens of novels. Her computer was filled with half-finished manuscripts. But she never finished one. Because finishing meant showing it to the world. And showing it meant risking rejection. As long as her stories were unfinished, they were safe. They existed in the perfect world of potential, where nobody could criticize them. Her sabotage wasn't laziness. It was fear of exposure. The common thread: each story is different. A student, an athlete, a creative, a partner, a professional. But underneath, they share the same truth: self-sabotage is not stupidity. It is fear in disguise. It's the mind's way of saying, I'd rather stay small and safe than risk failure, rejection, or change. But here's the irony: the very behaviors meant to protect end up causing pain. Emily's procrastination kept her from reaching her potential. Mark's fear of success robbed him of opportunities. Sophia's unfinished story stole her dream. David's distance destroyed his relationship. Lena's silence stalled her career. Sabotage keeps us stuck in the very outcomes we fear most. Reflection: as you hear these stories, ask yourself, where in my life do I notice patterns like these? Do I procrastinate to protect myself from failure? Do I hold back because I fear the pressure of success? Do I avoid opportunities because they don't fit my identity? These reflections are not about blame. They're about awareness. Because when you can name your sabotage, you can begin to change it. Breaking free, practical steps. Now that we can recognize sabotage, let's talk about how to break the cycle. This is not about willpower alone. You can't bully yourself into growth. It's about working with yourself, not against yourself. Here are 5 steps. Step 1. Awareness without judgment. Instead of beating yourself up, name the pattern. Say, I notice I procrastinate when I feel afraid of failure. Awareness plus compassion is the foundation. Step 2. Identify the protective function. Ask yourself, what is this behavior trying to protect me from? Procrastination protects from failure. Perfectionism protects from criticism. Avoidance protects from conflict. When you see the protective role, you can thank it and then choose differently. Step 3. Small experiments with safety. Don't aim for massive overnight change. Instead, try small, safe experiments. If you avoid speaking up, share one idea in a meeting. If you fear finishing, commit to finishing one small project. If you procrastinate, set a timer for 10 minutes and just begin. Tiny risks build confidence. Step 4. Replace with supportive rituals. Habits shape identity. Create rituals that support growth. Morning journaling. Weekly reflection. Accountability partners. A courage calendar where you mark each small brave act. Over time, these rituals replace sabotage with momentum. Step 5. Dialogue with your inner self. Self-sabotage comes from a part of you that is scared. So talk to it. Literally. Write a dialogue in your journal. You, I want to try this. Inner voice, but what if you fail? You, if I fail, I'll learn. And I'll be okay. Compassion calms the scared part of you. A story of transformation. Let's end this section with a story of breaking free. A woman named Claire always dreamed of starting her own bakery. But for years, she sabotaged herself. She told herself she wasn't ready, that she needed more training, more money, more time. She stayed in a job she hated. Finally, she did one thing: she started baking on weekends and selling to neighbors. Small steps. Safe experiments. Over time, her confidence grew. She rented a booth at a local market. Then, a year later, she opened a small bakery. Was she terrified? Absolutely. Did she make mistakes? Of course. But she stopped letting sabotage control her. Her story shows us this truth. Freedom doesn't come from eliminating fear. It comes from acting alongside it. So let's bring it together. Self-sabotage is not proof of weakness. It's proof that you care. You sabotage where the outcome matters. You sabotage where you're vulnerable. And when you can see sabotage not as laziness but as misplaced protection, you can choose differently. Remember the image: one foot on the gas, one on the brake. Freedom comes when you learn to lift the brake, gently, patiently, step by step. So instead of asking, "Why am I like this?" ask, "What is this behavior trying to protect me from?" And then, what small act of courage can I take today? That's how cycles break. That's how alignment begins. If this resonated with you, share in the comments one pattern of self-sabotage you've noticed in your life. Naming it is the first step to changing it. And in the next video, we'll talk about how to stop overthinking and finally take action. Because the opposite of sabotage is momentum. And momentum is waiting for you.